Chuck and Bob with you as we preview the weekend of tournament action in high school football around the area. Hope you missed us as much as we missed you last week, but hopefully all those problems are solved and we can get back to the gridiron. We'll start north of the border. Buchanan and Brandywine meeting for the second time in the last 3 weeks. Bucks got the better of them 20-6 3 weeks ago.
But it's tournament time.
Yeah.
And if you don't win this one, you're folding uniforms. Nobody wants to do that this early in the tournament. But Buchanan does have a very powerful offensive lineup, and I think Brandywine played them pretty well. But one of the things you got to look at is they're 7-0, Buchanan Bucks, and that's a dominant team so far this year. They put a lot of points on the board, and Brandywine will have a challenge.
When they played them a couple of weeks ago, Johnny Rager had a big game, 199 yards, couple of touchdowns. The problem is if you're Mike Nate's Bobcats and you focus all your efforts on Johnny Rager, then you've got to deal with Connor Legault, who has stepped up very well for Buchanan at quarterback this year. Now, Brandywine's got a good quarterback in Gabe Guyon, too. They won their first playoff game last week, 44-6, but I just wonder if Mike Nate's team has enough defense to stop this Buchanan offense.
Well, and ultimately, defense wins championships, and that was the big question when they got beat earlier this month, or last month, so we'll see what happens. It should be a good one, though, and just down the road from each other, they're neighbors.
Big rivalry, and the winner plays the winner of Parchment and Constantine in the next round. Speaking of big rivalries, we've got one in 1A. They have played each other quite a bit over the years, Winnebago and North Judson. Tomorrow night, they play with a sectional title on the line. Judson won 29-0 in the regular season back on September 18th, so have John Hendricks and the Warriors improved by 30 points in the last 7 weeks?
Well, I'm not sure they have improved that much, but they've improved. John Hendricks, a good coach, a new system he had in there, and so the kids are up to speed a little bit on what he wants to do, and he's going to make some changes. He's going to have some people playing different positions probably next year, but right now you got to focus. You got to try to take care of a very good North Judson team, and you got to give Brett Lambert a lot of credit. He took over that program. He's got him back to playing Blue Jay football, and it was always outstanding.
Winnebago has only allowed one team to score more than 20 this year on them, and that is North Judson. They'll have to get some production out of their junior quarterback, Russell Compton, and Hayden Clark at running back. I saw a little bit of North Judson's game with Culver last week. Trey Hampton played very well for the Blue Jays at quarterback. Of course, you've got Cheyenne Allen. 9-2. Congratulations to Judson for having played 11 games. That's most in the area. And I think they're likely to be 10-2 by the end of the night, but we'll see if Winnebago can get the upset.
They've only got 2 losses all season. They lost to Knox early in the season and lost to Pioneer, and who hasn't?
Well, Bremen is hoping they're not next on the list because Pioneer goes to Bremen on Friday night at Don Bungie Field. Adam Berry's Pioneer Panthers are 62-4 over the last 5 years, and they do it by running the ball down your throat. That's what they did to LaVille last week. 467 rushing yards for the Panthers in that game. Bremen's got some firepower, though, too. We saw them earlier this year against John Glenn. They scored 63 against Wabash. And Jordan Leeper has a variety of weapons that he can use in this offense.
Right. Ethan Nunemaker, a pretty good quarterback, and he's got some receivers that you're kind of fond of, Jeff.
Hunter Bennett had a big game against John Glenn. And then the guy that makes him go out of the backfield, you're a big fan of, so am I. He's got 1,400 yards this year, Blake Dingus.
Blake Dingus is a big, strong athlete. He went through some problems with injuries earlier in his career, and he's just hungry to have a great senior year, and so far it's been that.
You just wonder if this Bremen team can keep pace with a Pioneer team that is one of the best offenses in the state. They haven't been held below 38 in the last 6 weeks, and that's a challenge for this Lions squad at Don Bungie.
Yeah, the people, we're not familiar with Pioneer's lineup, but when you got a guy like Brock Robinson, you got Ezra Llewellyn, these are guys that they're used to going out and maybe playing half a game because, when the clock's running, it's been a great team and a great run for Pioneer.
Yeah, we're familiar enough with them. Let's put it that way.
Exactly.
All right, let's jump up on the 5A. Mishawaka and Adams. This is a game that could be done in an hour and a half because both these teams like to run the football. The Mishawaka Cavemen under Keith Kinder have basically taken what he learned from Bart Curtis and applied it now. And you're going to see all these running backs running all over the field. But, Bob, the key really is this offensive line, which I think may be one of the best in the state of Indiana.
Yeah, we look at the lineups and we talk about Drew Mason being such a good running back and their quarterback, Justin Fisher being a good quarterback, a good running quarterback, but they're running behind this line, which, you know, we've evaluated as maybe one of the best in the state.
Tyler Ackerley at center, Jaden Seamack. They've got some other hosses up there on the front line that do a great job. So you know Mishawaka is going to run the football. But this year, Adams has been a team that runs the football a lot under Antoine Jones. And the Eagles have had a terrific year out of Chuck Worsham. James Jordan had a touchdown here in this game against Riley. When Gavin Pulling was in at quarterback, he was running the ball a lot. Now, Torrin Day, the freshman, doesn't run it as much. The question I would have for Adams is, can their defense, which stepped up well in this game against Riley, can they step up and get stops against Mishawaka?
Well, that's going to be the big question. Can they hit the big play? And here you're looking at Jeffries with a touchdown catch, but Jordan and Love are also big play kind of guys. But Torrin Day, the freshman quarterback, he's going to have a big. Of course, he's from Mishawaka. He actually played at John Young Middle School, so we'll see if he answers the challenge.
And the problem is, if you hit big plays against Mishawaka, that just keeps your defense on the field even longer. So, have to figure out your poison. But it's a similar complication for Warsaw as they go on the road to Homestead. Of course, you know what you're going to get from Warsaw. They're just going to run the football, and they did it a lot last week and beat a really good team against Carroll. The one thing you don't know about Warsaw is who's going to have the ball on any given play, because it could be Aaron Green, it could be Juan Jaramillo, it could be Patrick Zollinger, it could be Julius Jones. They've all had 100-yard games this year. The problem Warsaw is going to have is stopping this Homestead attack that's very well balanced.
Yeah, you really got to look at the job that they've done under Chad Zolman this year, 9-1, and they beat Snyder last week, 28-10. Anytime you beat Fort Wayne Snyder, that's a big win, and they're 11-6 all time in matchups against Warsaw.
Homestead has a dynamic passer in Evan Ormsby. He's got 2,200 yards and 33 touchdowns this year. They've got a receiver, Nathan Anderson, with about 16 touchdowns. When they want to keep you honest, they run it with Braden Hardwick. Very well-balanced team that Bart Curtis's defense is going to have to stop.
You know, Bart Curtis, you ask him, you try to keep a balanced offense. And like for most teams, that would mean you pass and run. He goes, no, I just run it with different people.
Well, the balance in his eyes is the same as it was in Chris Giesman's eyes. Balance is being able to do what you want to do when you want to do it. Right. So if they want to throw, well, Bart will probably try to dissuade the offensive coordinator of that idea, but if they want to throw, it's when they want to. Then you've got another game in 6A. A lot of people were anticipating a rematch between Penn and Elkhart. That list did not include the Chesterton Trojans, who last week knocked off Penn 20-14. And the reward for their efforts, they make the trek to Rice Field to face the 5th-ranked Elkhart Lions.
Chesterton comes in with 4 losses on the season, but they play in that tough Duneland Conference. And so by the end of the season, you should be much better than you were. But I tell you what, Elkhart hit the ground running, and they never stopped, and they've been a very prolific team. I'm really proud of Josh Sadek and the players at Elkhart, because they melded together, and that's always a tough situation, but they said, hey, we're all Elkhart now.
Well, and that guy, Derek Woods, had himself a week last week, didn't he? 397 yards rushing, 8 touchdowns in the game against Portage. They had 669 yards total offense. But I got to give a shout out to my guy, Cody French. It was nice of you to take the first half off and then regroup. Gave up 33 points to Portage in the first half, tossed a shutout in the second half. The Lions are going to have to come with that kind of focus that you see from Clayton Lundy right there if they're going to knock off Chesterton and get a sectional title for Elkhart, which only as a city had one sectional title since the playoffs began.
So many good stories with this Elkhart team, too. And you see Cameron Wolfong, the quarterback there, number 9. He has done such a great job. And when you have a running back like Derek Woods, it takes attention away from the passing game. But he's done a great job. He stepped in after an injury. He wasn't really figuring to be the starting quarterback, and now he's the starting quarterback on a top 5 team.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal this year. Now, we mentioned Elkhart only has one previous sectional title. That couldn't be more of a contrast to the game that we'll have on the banks of the Bongo tomorrow night, 6:45 on YouTube, Facebook, and the Champions Network, 11 o'clock on TV-46. Number 2, Marian goes to Jimtown. And Bob, we've seen the Marian Knights twice already this year. Maddox Begonia Bright, really good at quarterback, but my goodness, does he have an arsenal of weapons to get the ball to.
He really does, and you know, Begonia Bright gets a lot of headlines for what happens offensively. He throws the ball well enough to be effective. But he's just a real good athlete, and he really gets it. You know, it's the opportunity to to run the ball is there. He'll take off downfield, and a big, strong runner. And, of course, they've got outstanding runner in Malcolm Anderson, and Sete on defense is really tough. And Jimtown, I'm in love with this Jimtown team for what they've done. They're 7-3, but they could be 9-1. They lost by 3, and they lost in overtime. And they've also been scoring 38 points a game. Now, it's a lesser schedule than Marian has played, but I think the Jim's got to be really proud of the direction they're moving.
Well, I think with the explosiveness that Marian has, Jimtown's going to try to grind it out. They've got Ethan Duvall, who is a 1,000-yard rusher for the second year in a row. John Reed showed some explosiveness last week against West Noble. He's a terrific athlete. They've got a defense that's been very good. They only give up 10 points a game. But Jimtown hasn't faced a team with a winning record in 7 weeks. So the question is, can they step up their game enough to play a team like Marian on Friday?
Well, we'll find out early because they're going to be knocking heads. Jimtown won't back down on this challenge. Tyson House has been doing a nice job at quarterback, but again, this is a team that has come from the beginning of the season, made themselves better, and they lost 2 of the first 3 games that they played. One of the things about Jimtown, too, is they've kind of resurrected some of the old coaching staff that was there when Bill Sharp was there, and Mark Ward told me the other day, I'm too old to be doing this, I should be playing golf, but he's enjoying himself working with the backs of Jimtown.
I think you brought up a good point, though, about a quick start. Imperative for both teams in this one, so you're going to want to be there right from the start. Join us live on Facebook, YouTube, and the Champions Network at 6:45 and on TV-46, Friday night at 11 and Saturday morning at 9. Till then, for the Hall of Famer Bob Nagle, it's Chuck Freeby. Thanks for joining us here on social media.